So good afternoon everyone, welcome to CGB Mentors. First of all, please tell me whether my voice is clear and I hope the screen is also clearly visible to all of you. So in this session, we will first of all understand what this diploma course is all about, and we'll understand what CGB is bringing you, what kind of certification, how this certification will be helping you. All the details with respect to tests also we will discuss in this session. And after that, we will also start with the first lecture of the content that is there in the Diploma of Banking and Finance. Okay. So first of all, as all of you are already aware that CGB has collaborated with BSE Institute, which is a highly reputed institute, in order to provide a certificate of Diploma in Banking and Finance. And this is very important for students who are appearing for interview who are not from the banking background. And I understand a lot of students are there who do not have any work experience, and who do not have any background in the posts that they are applying for. So all those instances, whether you talk about the candidates who have given interview and who have cleared the interview, they've always mentioned about the role a certificate plays in their selection. So certificate to anyways help you in this regard. Okay, so this is just an initiative from CGB in collaboration with BSE Institute to provide you an opportunity to get a certificate that helps you in interview, and all the details with respect to how this certificate will be, you will be able to do it, what will be the date of examination, and rest assured the date of examination we will set in such a manner so that it does not clash with your regulatory body examination or other banking examination for that matter. ठीक है, तो उससे क्लैश नहीं करने देंगे. वी विल सेट अ डेट इन सच अ मैनर कि आप लोग अपना फेज 2 कंप्लीट कर लें और इंटरव्यू से पहले उस टाइमलाइन के बीच में हम लोग इस सर्टिफिकेट का एग्जाम रख लेंगे, या फिर फेज 1 होने के बहुत पहले इसका एग्जाम हम लोग कंडक्ट करा लेंगे, सो दैट आप सर्टिफिकेट अप्रोप्रिएट टाइम पर अचीव कर पाओ, रादर देन कि आपका सर्टिफिकेट का एग्जाम और नॉर्मल एग्जाम विच इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू वो क्लैश ना करे. So in this manner, we have planned this whole certificate program for all of you guys. And as you can see the details of this, so CGB Mentors, as I've already told you, has launched this 3 months Diploma in Finance and Banking in collaboration with BSE Institute, a subsidiary of Bombay Stock Exchange. Okay, so again, the exam date हम लोगों ने आपको पहले ही बता रखा है कि we'll be, even though we'll be doing exam हर quarter में, every quarter we'll conduct the certificate exam, but we'll make sure the dates of the exams is conducted in such a manner so that it doesn't clash with your normal examination. These details you can find out over here, and I've already told you that it is highly recommended for students. And this is for students who do not have any background, जो banking background है, that we can understand. Okay, and with respect to negative marking, there is no negative marking over here. If you see the pattern, of the certificate exam, it will be 100 marks certificate exam. 90 minutes will be your timeline. This will be your syllabus: fundamental of economy, basics of Indian financial system, basics of banking, basics of retail banking. Passing marks for you to get a certificate is 50. Okay, there is no negative marking, so for that you can be rest assured. इसमें किसी को कोई दिक्कत है तो please ask. You can register it through CGB Mentors website only. Okay, so this certificate program is exclusive program that you can only access through CGB website. This certificate of BSE Institute you can only access through CGB's website. So you just go to cgbmentors.com, where you can find. Right now we have launched certificate courses for Diploma in Banking and Finance, rural banking, and one more certificate. And with respect to IRDAI insurance, we are also coming up with those certificates as well. So हर एक subject specific, हर एक stream specific certificates we'll be soon coming up with. Yes, Abhirup, IRDAI related certificate will also be launched. So if you just register yourself in the CGB course, if you registered in the CGB diploma certificate course, तो हम लोग आपको क्या कर रहे हैं? We are providing you the study material. We are not only providing you the study material, we will also be teaching you all these concepts. आपको हम लोग proper पढ़ाएंगे. We'll also be providing you study material. We'll also provide you MCQs for practice, and we will also be sponsoring your first test also. ठीक है? तो अगर आप ये course and if you take this diploma certificate course that is on the website, study material, teaching, MCQs और जो भी कोर्स का फी होगा, जो भी सर्टिफिकेट का टेस्ट का फी होगा, वो भी CGB ही पे करेगा. ओके, एंड इफ यू कैन पास इट, अगर आप इसमें पास हो जाएंगे तो आपको सीधा सर्टिफिकेट आपको प्रोवाइड करा दिया जाएगा विद BSE इंस्टीट्यूट नेम. ओके, और इसके बाद अगर आप पास नहीं कर पाए, स्टिल यू विल हैव द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू रीगिव द टेस्ट, बट उसमें जो भी टेस्ट फी होगी दैट यू विल हैव टू रीपे अगेन. See, it's a 3-month certificate course, but obviously if you can read, because we'll be teaching you content in such a manner, you will be able to complete this whole course in a 3-month period. But since you are already preparing for these examinations, so somewhat knowledge you guys already have. So with that facility, whenever the date for examination comes, you can anyway give that examination if you feel you are confident. So that is, that you can manage on your own. Otherwise, study material, lectures, MCQ practice related to all these different sub-subjects will be provided in the certificate course itself. ठीक है, और फिर जो आपका certificate course, certificate test होगा, उसका fee payment will also be paid by CGB only. Yes, Shreya, exactly. Jab some classes are recorded, some classes are live, you will also be provided. ठीक है, आपको बस ये सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स CGB के प्लेटफॉर्म पर सब्सक्राइब करना है. उसके बाद दिस होल कोर्स मटेरियल, lectures, MCQ practice and this test fee will also be paid by CGB. Okay, and आपको बस फिर एग्जाम देना है and you'll get a certificate. Yes, Tara, you can do that. अगर आप उस टेस्ट की डेट मिस कर जाते हैं तो you can give it in the next date whenever it arrives. Okay, but आप इस चीज़ का भी ध्यान रखिए कि हर एक क्वार्टर में, मतलब साल में 4 बार टेस्ट होगा, and obviously we'll make sure the dates are in such a manner कि वो आपके एग्जाम्स के साथ clash ना करे. There will be only one certificate test. एक टेस्ट होगा 100 मार्क्स का, 90 minutes, passing marks needs to be 50, and that test will be conducted by BSE Institute. आपका जो टेस्ट होगा, this test will be conducted by BSE Institute. This will be only one Test for the certificate 90 minutes, 100 marks total, passing marks 50. There will be no sectional cutoff in the tests. No sectional cutoff. No sectional cutoff. Yes, Abhirup, you can also take up digital banking course as well. Okay. That's why we have created different certificate courses so that आपका जिस हिसाब से एग्जाम आप दे रहे हो उस हिसाब से आपका जो सर्टिफिकेट अलाइनमेंट बने आप उस सर्टिफिकेट को पकड़ो. डिप्लोमा इन बैंकिंग फाइनेंस इज हाईली relevant for all the banking aspirants, all the aspirants that are giving examination related to banking. And if you're focusing on NABARD examination, so certificate course in rural banking is highly important for you, as well as financial inclusion whenever we will come up with it, or insurance related course we will also come up with, so that also you can do. See, test will be conducted online. Primarily अभी online है, so right now it is online mainly. If we'll talk about offline का अगर कुछ plan होगा तो we'll tell you about that, but online तो आप मान के चलिए कि online तो है ही. आपका जो सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स है, आपको बस इस सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स का पेमेंट करना है. इसके अंदर सारी चीज है, इंक्लूडिंग योर सर्टिफिकेट टेस्ट फी. So you only need to do one time payment. Okay. Any other question? No. Apart from me, I will teach. Your teachers are teachers along with mentors. I will teach. Sapna ma'am will also teach. Tanya ma'am will also teach. Ashok sir will also be there for overall mentoring. Okay, so we have everyone there to not only teach you but also guide you throughout your certificate journey. वापसी सी एग्जाम विल बी कंडक्टेड एवरी क्वार्टर, मतलब हर 3 महीने में हम लोग एग्जाम कंडक्ट कराएंगे. एंड एग्जाम डेट आपको पहले से ही नोटिफाई कर देंगे, और एग्जाम डेट अगेन आई एम रिपीटिंग विल बी कंडक्टेड इन सच अ मैनर कि आपके किसी भी एग्जाम, जो भी एग्जाम आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो उससे क्लैश ना करे. ठीक है, या तो उन एग्जाम्स के फेज 2 के बाद हम लोग डेट रख लेंगे, या फिर उनके फेज 1 होने के बहुत पहले हम डेट रख लेंगे, सो दैट आपको सर्टिफिकेट टेस्ट देने में प्रॉब्लम ना आए. Thank you, Airplane. Shivani, result will be soon provided to you within 1 or 2 days. Okay, result हम लोग तुरंत प्रोवाइड कर देंगे, और उसी हिसाब से सर्टिफिकेट भी आपका, अगर आप पास हो जाएंगे तो तुरंत डिप्लॉयमेंट हो जाएगा विद इन होल वीक. विद इन जैसे ही आप टेस्ट देंगे उसके 1 वीक के अंदर अंदर ऑल रिजल्ट एंड ऑल सर्टिफिकेशन डिप्लॉयमेंट विल बी देयर. ठीक है, चलिए. ओके, सो विद दिस ऑल इंफॉर्मेशन लेट्स स्टार्ट आवर फर्स्ट लेक्चर. तो पहला लेक्चर हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं विद रिस्पेक्ट टू डिप्लोमा इन बैंकिंग फाइनेंस. And first of all, we'll focus on बेसिक्स ऑफ इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम. ठीक है, इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम पर हम लोग आज स्टार्ट करेंगे लेक्चर अपना. एंड इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम, एज ऑल ऑफ यू अंडरस्टैंड, इंडियन फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम इज अ, when we talk about Indian financial system, it comprises of all these different institutions that comprises together and make the overall financial system, which includes Indian banking system, development financial institutions, even regulators also, microfinance institutions. Then we have NBFCs, and then we have markets also. All these things we will learn in this whole Indian financial system subsection, or you can say module. इस पूरे module में we will be reading about Indian financial system. Starting with today's lecture will start on India's banking structure. ठीक है. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल नेचुरल सी बात है, when we talk about India's financial system, we are concerned about different kinds of institutions that are present in India's overall financial system. First system that we'll concern ourselves with is the banking system. अब आप लोगों ने अलग अलग तरीके की बैंक्स के बारे में सुना होगा. You have, scheduled commercial banks, you have private sector banks, you have पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स. आप लोगों ने फिर डिफरेंशिएटेड बैंक्स का नाम भी सुना होगा. यू ऑल्सो मस्ट हैव हर्ड अबाउट स्मॉल फाइनेंस बैंक्स. यू ऑल्सो मस्ट हैव हर्ड अबाउट पेमेंट बैंक्स. कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स भी हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है. कोऑपरेटिव्स में भी कैटेगरी पढ़ी है, अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स, देन यू हैव स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स, मल्टी स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स, इजंट इट. तो लोकल एरिया बैंक्स भी हैं. तो ये डिफरेंट बैंक्स कैसे डेवलप हुई, इन सारी बैंक्स का स्ट्रक्चर क्या है, इन सारी बैंक्स पर रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस किस हिसाब से है, isn't it? So all these things we will discuss in today's lecture. ठीक है, जितना भी हम लोग कर पाए आज के लेक्चर में. एंड देन वील फुल फ्लेजेडली, आज तो इन्फॉर्मेशन में हम लोग आधा लेक्चर चला गया, बट नेक्स्ट लेक्चर ऑनवर्ड्स वील स्टार्ट फुल फ्लेजेड द कंटेंट. आज हम लोग थोड़ा इंट्रो ले लेते हैं. So India's banking structure, as all of you understand, comprises of different types of banks. हम लोग scheduled commercial banks बोल देते हैं. कमर्शियल बैंक्स में भी फिर आपको एक ये टर्म दिखता है स्केड्यूल्ड. फिर देयर आर वेरियस बैंक्स, जब उनको बोलते हैं हम लोग नॉन स्केड्यूल्ड. सो स्केड्यूल्ड बैंक्स नेचुरली आर दोज बैंक्स जो आरबीआई एक्ट के सेकेंड स्केड्यूल में इनकॉर्पोरेटेड है. आप लोगों ने बहुत सारे एक्ट्स देखे होंगे, जस्ट लाइक बैंकिंग रेगुलेशन एक्ट. सिमिलरली देयर इज आरबीआई एक्ट ऑल्सो. In each act there is also a schedule, है ना. So in RBI Act also second schedule is there, and this is a special schedule which provides various kinds of privileges to whomsoever bank that is incorporated over here. तो RBI के जैसे liquidity adjustment facility में आपको participate करने का मौका मिलेगा. All these things are there. तो all those banks that have been incorporated in this second schedule of RBI Act is what they are known as scheduled banks. और जो इसके बाहर है, जो इसमें नहीं है, उनको हम बोलते हैं नॉन scheduled बैंक्स. तो ये तो एक बेसिक कैटेगराइजेशन हो गया. ठीक है. एंड देन वी ऑल्सो हैव डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ बैंक्स लाइक प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स, पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स, एंड देन अदर टाइप्स ऑफ बैंक्स. ओके, just like we've also understood this. So we'll start this whole chapter in three different aspects. First of all, we'll start with what exactly is a bank, and this is I'll tell you, this is the most common and most repeated question that is normally asked in interview of these different examinations like banking examination or even RBI examination. Also, the interviewer board will simply ask you, what do you mean by banking? So non बैंकिंग बैकग्राउंड वाले लोग, उनको जितना बैंक के बारे में समझ में आता है वो बताते हैं, जितना उनका एक्सपीरियंस रहता है बैंक्स के रिगार्डिंग. जैसे बैंक से आप इंटरनेट बैंकिंग कर लेते हो या फिर कुछ भी कर लेते हो, वट एवर यू डू, यू टेल अबाउट इट, देन दे स्टार्ट काउंटरिंग यू. ओके, एंड देन यू गेट फ्लमक्स्ड बाय इट. तो फिर क्या करना है, हाउ डू यू से द डेफिनेशन इन सच अ मैनर कि वो लोग भी कुछ ना बोल पाए, वो लोग भी समझ जाए कि आपको एकदम ठोस नॉलेज है. You have very solid knowledge. So you just go as per the act. अगर आप act देखेंगे, if you see the act, the Banking Regulation Act 1949, there is specifically mentioned over there that a bank is any company which transacts the business of banking. आप सीधे बोलो कि what is a bank? Sir, bank is any company that transacts the business of banking. अब banking क्या है? तो उनका नेचुरल सवाल रहेगा आपसे, है ना, कि what do you mean by banking? तब आप उनको बताओ कि सर banking means accepting for the purpose of lending or investment deposits of money from public, repayable on demand or otherwise withdrawable by check, draft order or otherwise. अब ये एकदम बेसिक फंक्शन ऑफ बैंकिंग हो गया. बेसिक फंक्शन ऑफ बैंकिंग इज टेलिंग यू व्हाट, कि सर बैंकिंग का मतलब है accepting deposits from public, accepting deposits from public for what purpose? For lending or investment, while also allowing public to withdraw these deposits through check and other instruments. This is what we call payable on demand. तो टेक्निकली अगर एकदम मोस्ट बेसिक फंक्शन ऑफ बैंकिंग अगर आप सोचना चाहो तो एग्जैक्टली तो यही है. फिर इसमें आप अदर सर्विसेज ऐड कर दो तो फिर आपकी अलग अलग टाइप की बैंकिंग हम लोग जोड़ देते हैं. बट आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. बैंकिंग मतलब क्या? बैंकिंग मतलब एक्सेप्टिंग डिपॉजिट्स in such a manner so that you can utilize it for lending or investing purpose, and this deposit is payable on demand. जब भी पब्लिक कहे कि मेरे को अपना पैसा वापस दो तो उनको देना पड़ेगा, है ना, and that they can withdraw through check or any other things. Did you get this? आपको बैंकिंग का मतलब समझ में आया? बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग आप लोग को समझ में आई? चलिए, now let's move on. फिर नेचुरल सी बात है, फिर ऑल ऑफ यू अंडरस्टैंड कि फिर बैंकिंग की डेफिनेशन फ्रॉम द मोस्ट बेसिक एस्पेक्ट हैज बीन इम्प्रूव्ड, क्योंकि आजकल की बैंक्स तो बहुत सारा काम करने लगी है. तो दिस होल डेफिनेशन ऑफ बैंकिंग केप्ट ऑन चेंजिंग. अ लॉट मोर सर्विसेज वर इंक्लूडेड विद इन दिस डेफिनेशन ऑफ बैंकिंग. तो वो सर्विसेज क्या क्या है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, apart from above primary functions of the banking, section 6(1) of the Banking Regulation Act has mentioned about other businesses in which banks can engage, है ना. तो उस केस में क्या क्या है? borrowing and lending money, dealing in bills of exchange, promissory notes, securities and foreign exchange. आप लोगों ने सुना होगा ऑथराइज्ड डीलर कैटेगरी 1, 2, 3 बैंक्स. ये लोग किस में इन्वॉल्व रहते हैं? दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन foreign exchange or foreign transactions. Issuing letters of credit and traveler's check is also the responsibility of banks. Buying and selling bullions, dealing in stocks, shares and other investment. So this is just a part of their investment journey, because अगर आप, again I'm telling you, ये हर चीज इनके बेसिक फंक्शन से निकल के आ रही है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वी अंडरस्टूड अबाउट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. तो इन्वेस्टमेंट तो ये लोग अलग अलग कैटेगरी में करते हैं. दे आर इन्वॉल्वड इन इन्वेस्टिंग इन स्टॉक्स, गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज, बुलियंस एंड अदर एस्पेक्ट्स, इजंट इट? और फिर लेंडिंग भी करेंगे तो अलग अलग लोगों को लेंड करेंगे. दे कैन लेंड टू PSL, बिग कॉर्पोरेट्स फॉर प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंस, which we've just the circular which we've just discussed in a few days back. फिर acting as agents for governments, local authorities, handling agency business. Agency business आप सबको पता है. Agency business means agency business that Reserve Bank of India को सरकारी काम करना पड़ता है. तो रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के पास तो इतने ऑफिस है नहीं कि वो सरकार के सारे काम कर ले. तो वो क्या करता है? इन बैंक्स को पकड़ के सरकार का काम करवाता है. तो ये लोग क्या बन गए, आरबीआई के एजेंट बन गए। अब एजेंसी बैंक कोई भी काम फ्री में तो करेगा नहीं, तो एजेंसी बैंक को क्या देना पड़ेगा, एजेंसी चार्जेस देने पड़ते हैं। एजेंसी चार्जेस एनुअल रिपोर्ट में मेंशन होता है ना। तो ये एजेंसी वाला काम भी कर सकते हैं। दे कैन एक्ट एज एन एजेंट फॉर गवर्नमेंट और लोकल अथॉरिटीज फॉर देयर बैंकिंग एक्टिविटीज, अरेंजिंग एंड इशूइंग पब्लिक और प्राइवेट लोन्स, ऑफरिंग गारंटी एंड इंडेमनिटी सर्विसेज, गारंटी भी तो देती है बैंक्स, दे एक्ट एज अ श्योरिटी ऑल्सो, मैनेजिंग एंड सेलिंग प्रॉपर्टीज एक्वायर्ड एज कोलैटरल। अब जैसे आपने कोई लोन दिया, आपको प्रॉपर्टी कोलैटरल में मिल गई, अब वो उसने लोन पेमेंट नहीं किया तो फिर आपको उस प्रॉपर्टी का कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा, अपने पास तो रखोगे नहीं, उसको बेच के अपना पैसा रिकवर करना पड़ेगा। सो दैट इज ऑल्सो इनकॉर्पोरेटेड ओवर हियर। ठीक है, which certification will be useful for NABARD? Vamsi, this certificate in rural banking, and whenever we will come up with certificate in financial inclusion, ये certificate will be highly important for NABARD. Okay. Okay, Chiba. Definitely. Okay, so next thing, administrating trusts and estates, supporting employee welfare initiatives, constructing or maintaining buildings, works necessary, dealing with company property rights, all these things. So all these different activities have also been included within the definition of business of banking. Okay. So now that we have understood the basic concept of banking and what does banking in general mean, and if we understand the concept of banking, what all activities are undertaken in that respect, so we already know that what is a bank. A bank is a company that is that conducts such kind of banking services, or that transacts business of banking. Simple. Okay. Arthak, with respect to IRDAI exam, we will come up with a separate course for insurance, separate course on basics of insurance. So with respect to that insurance certificate, that will be helpful for you not only with respect to IRDAI exam, but also will be helpful for you if you apply for all the insurance related exams like LIC and GIC exams. Then if we move towards development of banking in India, basics we've understood. Now let's move towards what has been the history of banking in India starting from the Kautilya's time. Okay, and then we'll focus towards on modern banking. If you see the history of banking in India from ancient to colonial times, even from Vedic times it was there. And then if we focus on modern banking in India, especially focusing on British rule, if you see, modern banking began in India in 18th and 19th centuries with European agency houses establishing European controlled banks with limited liability. So first things first, the Bank of Hindustan, founded in Calcutta in 1770, marked the formal start of Indian financial system. It, however, ceased operations in 1832. Other banks like General Bank of India as well as Awadh Commercial Bank also faced the similar type of fate. Apart from Bank of Hindustan, which is the first bank that you need to remember that led to development of modern banking in India, you need to shift towards the presidency banks. So presidency banks were established in three major presidencies of British time period, especially in Calcutta, then in Madras, and then in Bombay. You just remember, just the names. Don't focus on, the paid up capital and something like that. You do not need to focus on for the certificate, just names of these broad idea. Where they merged it in 1921 to form the Imperial Bank of India. So Imperial Bank of India later turned out to be what? It later turned out to be State Bank of India. So State Bank of India's history, I hope you can get it from here. It started as a presidency bank in Madras, Bengal, as well as in Bombay, and then all these three presidency banks got merged to form Imperial Bank of India. Imperial Bank of India then converted into State Bank of India after independence. Then we also had some experience with respect to cooperative bank. So the cooperative movement, which began with Shri Vitthal Kavthekar pioneering in urban cooperative credit sector. Okay, the People's Cooperative Society in Bangalore became the second urban cooperative bank. Okay. The Cooperative Societies Act of 1904 provided, however, a framework for cooperative societies to start and conduct the business of banking. Okay. And later on, the most important portion, which is in 1920s and 30s, Hilton Young Commission gave a recommendation for establishment of a central bank, RBI. And then through RBI Act 1934, RBI was established. Okay, which after independence became the regulator of India's overall banking system. Okay, till here I hope broadly आपको idea clear है. History में anyways हम लोग को जाना नहीं है, थोड़ा सा बस idea होना चाहिए कि SBI की थोड़ी history क्या थी, RBI की history क्या थी, कौन सी commission थी, which commission was there that led to development of Reserve Bank of India. All these basic things I hope you guys understand. Chaliye, now let's move on. Then in post-independence India's banking system, there were various events. Okay, now we haven't entered in the LPG reforms area. अभी उससे पहले, you know, some events happened in India that had a huge impact with respect to India's overall banking system. India's banking system after independence, when it was developed in such a manner that we wanted to provide that let's establish India's banking system and let's hope that formal credit be provided to all the people in the country. But because all of you know, there was huge poverty at high scale in India at that time. And banks naturally, you know, in order to be much more focused on profit, they would not want to give money to poor people, rather they would give money to all already successful people. That led to asymmetry in development. So the government at that time thought of, you know, nationalizing banks in order to provide more credit to the areas that later on came to be known as priority sector. ठीक है, तो तभी वो कॉन्सेप्ट आया कि हम लोग फोकस करना चाहते थे उन सेक्टर्स पे जो थोड़ा प्रायोरिटी है, क्योंकि वहां पर पैसा जा नहीं रहा, जो ऑलरेडी एफ्लुएंट है आप उनको पैसा दिए जा रहे हो. Isn't it? So nationalization of banking system, if you see, it began with Reserve Bank of India on January 1st, 1949, obviously, followed by State Bank of India in 1955. Then later on in 1969, the government nationalized 14 major private banks in India having deposits over 50 crores. And nationalization happened in two phases. In first phase, 14 major banks got nationalized, and later on, 6 other private banks got nationalized. Are you getting my point? Then later on in the India's banking structure, what happened? They started focusing more on providing money to weaker sections. So then they decided, you know, let's focus, because even after nationalizing the whole banks, we are not able to provide development in all the regions of the country. So what to do in that case? So then came the concept of service area approach. Let's focus on a particular area and let's focus on developing banking in this area only. And with this objective in mind, we started to come up with a scheme called lead bank scheme. So फिर एक lead bank बनाई गई. You know, this lead bank was established and every district got assigned a particular lead bank. Now the responsibility of this lead bank is to oversee the development and deployment of the banking and other financial services in this district is going on properly or not. So every district got appointed a particular lead bank. Now the responsibility lays with this particular bank. With this, we started improving our banking services and its deployment into different regions. Then we focused on creating a particular type of bank which could provide credit mostly in rural areas. And that's when the idea of regional rural banks came into place. So in 1974, the government enacted regional rural banks, resulting in establishment of these type of banks which operate on the public sector banks focused mainly on servicing rural clients, primarily farmers, cooperatives and all those. Okay, फिर following liberalization, the Narasimhan Committee gave its reforms in 1991, which acted as an inflection point for the whole banking structure. मतलब banking structure got transformed completely. What happened with the banking structure? What happened to those nationalized banks? And what happened to different types of services that were offered by the banking system? Were any foreign banks got allowed after the 1991 banking reforms? And this we will study in the next class. So stay tuned. In tomorrow's class, we'll study these points. Okay. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up this session. Yes, Anakin, we will upload the notes in the course. Yes, Shreya, you can do that. You can enroll in course anytime you want. Yes, Anakin, for RBI, this certificate will be very well. Okay. Next class will be on YouTube. एक और class हम लोग YouTube पे करेंगे. And then further onwards, we'll start on the course. Tara, all these details we'll notify you whenever exam has to be conducted, and any problems that you face in that regard will be rectified. So don't worry. Okay. Chalo. Thank you guys for joining. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you.